Alrighty. Oh Lord, I hear feedback. I hope you can hear me now. Let's see. See, I just love technology at its best. Well, we're gonna keep it moving. I just want everybody to know happy Monday. Happy Monday. I hope you are doing so well. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to play a clip from Help Healing Humanity, one of my charities that I love and that I sponsor. And so, as soon as I show this, we will be right back to start the show. And here we go.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school. No easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
I thought it would be very good to start. Oh, good. The echo is gone. I was wondering, I'm like, okay, I know my technology. I have to have something. You know, you always got to have something different, a challenge with technology every single day because it wouldn't make you grow, right? But now that I can hear myself and not hear myself 3 times, this is wonderful. But I thought I wanted to start off today by showing Help Humanity because, like I said, I'm going to be bringing on people from that organization because this is one of the charities that I really, really, truly love and believe in because they're helping children and they're helping women that are homeless, that just, kind of went astray and don't know when the next day will come for food or, just human touch. And they're helping around the world. So Serena, I love her dearly, and Patricia, those are the two main ladies that I call angels, that are helping so many people that are out there in the trenches. I mean, they're out there really helping the women and men, to support them so they know that they have a purpose. And I'm always talking about purpose. And they're telling them they do have a purpose, even though in the situation that they're in. So yes, we want to basically give them kudos for that, and you'll be seeing more interviews, and I'm going to be bringing them on more. But today we have a show. We have two wonderful, amazing women that are going to be coming on here, and both of them are just, I call the women Queen Diamonds. I do. I got to call them the queens. They are royalty, royalty. And you are going to see both aspects of them, get to learn them a little bit more, get to, build that quick relationship as they're talking. And then they're going to give what I want to do. And this is something different that I want to start doing when I do bring the wonderful queens on, and kings, because I have both, is that, before they kind of sign off, we kind of say, okay, what is your last words? No, we're going to give them more than just a few last words. I want to step down virtually and I want to let them talk for my, 10, 15 minutes so you can see the power and the impact that they have and why they are called royalty. So with that, I want to make sure that I introduce them right. So the first person that I'm going to be bringing on, oh, no. Before I start that, wait a minute. I got to start off with starting the show. Here we go. Oh, I'm always dancing. I'm always dancing. Love the music. But, I wanted to just to remind everybody, last night, real quickly, I say this real quick. Every first and third Sunday, I am part of the Toastmaster professional group. I'm over a professional group, speaking group, that we come together twice out the month, and we really work on our presentations. If we have something coming up, speaking, or if we're coaching, whatever we're doing, we work on those presentations and make sure it sounds right, it's structured right, and it's creating what I call an impact. So I did a workshop last night with the group talking about your stories. And I was thinking about, because I'm bringing on these two wonderful queens, and then everybody else that comes on, make sure that you understand their stories, because that's what creates the impact for other people. When you hear about America's Supermodel, when you hear about Dr. Jean Turner and what they dealt with, what they went through, and how they got to the certain point of where they are right now, I always tell people that gives people an insight to giving a connection, because you don't know who else is dealing with what they dealt with. And then they give you hope because they show you, hey, I went through this, I dealt with this, I'm dealing with that, I believe in that, but guess what? Now I'm shining like a diamond. And that's what they do. So when you're really talking to people, make sure you understand their story so you can understand who they are and give them the respect that's needed. So with that, I just want to throw that in there, because last night it was kind of interesting, because a lot of people said, you're right, I kind of need to understand people more. Yes. Know their stories, give them their props, give them their respect. So right now we are going to bring on Miss America Supermodel, and I had to do it right with the showing of the introduction of the video. So here we go.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Good to see you this morning.
There she is, America Supermom. Whoosh, whoo. There's the cake.
I
I
wish
see you
I had that
flying.
ability to fly. I know that's right. That would be nice.
You fly every day. You fly every day of what you do for people and your family. That's the cape. That's the cape every day.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
Love
lady.
it. Well, happy Monday to you.
Yeah, happy Monday to you too. I'm so
Mhm.
glad that you decided to come on, and I know I kind of, like I said, I'm vulnerable. I kind of asked. And one thing about you are Superman because you always fill in the spots for me when is needed and when I really need you to come on. So thank you
Mhm.
so much. That's an honor that you did that. Now, I know you've been on a few times, but I
Mhm.
know today, I mean, some people, you get different listeners. We got new people coming on. So first, I just
Mhm.
want you, give them your, background on what you believe and what you do, and all the wonderful. You got a lot of hats, and then from there, I
Mhm.
really want you to do. You have a topic that you want to talk about today, so I want to let you
Mhm.
do that as well. So let's start off
Awesome.
with who is Supermom? Who is
Well,
America's
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it is just a pleasure to be here. I think, I am just all things media related to the importance of mental wellness. I'm a podcast host, TV producer, speaker, author, just raising awareness about an important topic that many people overlook, and that's depression. I dealt with it for 13 years. I was hospitalized 3 times, and I have learned that story has helped me to bless the lives of women by sharing it, for one, and letting them realize that they're not alone, but also helping them with strategies that can help them overcome it. Because in my case, I feel I was functionally depressed. So I wasn't in the bed feeling demotivated. I was doing lots of things from soccer practice to PTA to going to church regularly and praying for others, just a laundry list daily of different things that I was doing, but I was feeling unfulfilled. There was a void that was there from people pleasing and just being exhausted from being on autopilot. So now I believe that had we had information, at least in my case, that could have avoided that 13 years of going down this tunnel that, really had me there stuck for 13 years. So I just feel like I can't get that time back, but I definitely want to help other women avoid that at all costs.
And I'm loving that because, like you said earlier, when you were talking about not having those, in a sense, it was kind of like you didn't have the normal signs of a person that goes into depression mode, because you felt
Mm-hmm.
like you were functioning the way that you were doing your thing, as a mother and
Mm-hmm.
businesswoman, and then come to find out, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. There's something
Mm-hmm.
definitely wrong because some of the signs weren't there as a normal, person that would go through certain signs. So when you told me that
Mm-hmm.
before, I was like, wow. I had to check myself out after that. I was like, hmm, I'm
Yeah.
doing all this do. And then when I sit and really get quiet, then it seemed like something was kind of, so I'm glad that you're being there as an advocate to let people know and be people aware, especially women,
Mm-hmm.
what might be going on. What might be
And
going
so
on.
true. And the people pleasing comes from there's something that is there, but you're trying to mask it. I just am grateful that I wasn't one that was strung out on alcohol or some other vice to cope with the feelings that were letting me know that something wasn't right. Mine was just more of a self-sabotage by doing things for other people rather than taking that time to look at myself and seeing where I could be uh, practicing self-care and self-love in my own life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that's one thing, like you said, you push to let people know that they have to have that self care. They have to remind themselves that they have to take care of themselves, no matter what they
Mm-hmm.
keep saying. Well, no, I got to do this for this. I got to do this. I got to do this for my family. You need to have some self care.
Mm-hmm. It's a
And
non-negotiable. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
just saying. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like when you said a few times when you're at home with the children, like now you're doing the homeschooling with a lot of them, and then sometimes you say you got to get out the room and say, "Look, I love y'all, but I'm gonna take a 15-minute go in the room and do a usha,
Right.
and then we'll be back."
Well, and it's so true. Well, we were joking over the weekend about sometimes you had those moments where you want to scream. Well, sometimes I scream with them. It's like, they're like, okay, mom, what is going on? But, we have to have that release and
Yes.
let them know. I mean, especially now we're in a pandemic. This is not normal circumstances. We all don't know what we're dealing with. And so we have to be willing to have that time and space to deal with life as it's happening rather than waiting for this perfect opportunity that never comes.
Hmm.
So, mhm.
Yeah. Hey, lady, see, those are the cuties.
She's
Tell her
supposed to
she's
be
on
in
prime
class.
time. She's on
She's,
prime time.
she said, you're on prime time.
She's on TV. Now she's really smiling.
She said, I told her, I said, I have to be on TV this morning. And so she's like, TV, like real TV? I said, hey, everything is real TV these days. Okay. Internet, your cell phone, it's all real. Okay.
We are sorry. That's so sweet. Yeah, and see, like you said with your, because now talking about TV and stuff, now you have your own TV show. Tell
Mhm.
people a little bit about that.
Yes, it's a real life without excuses. It's a behind the scenes of what it's like, not really just in a day, but it really helps people with mindset and strategy. I go through and show some of the things that I do in my own household to help empower other women to see how they could do the same. I believe that I just want to allow my light to shine as an example so that people can find out, well, this may work, this may not work in my life. How can I modify this so that I can help be successful in my own journey, dealing with the own things that I manage. And so it is really a deep dive into giving people practical strategies on how they can be successful in their everyday life.
And I love how you show that, Michelle, because it's so easy just to say, well, I got this little headache or something. Not trying to say that that's you shouldn't take care of that because things happen in
Mhm.
life health wise. But you have to really look at the fact is it really is it really an excuse that maybe you can do the little, more, or is this really just something that you're really saying, yeah, this is really something I can't do. So you show
Right.
us through, I mean, the 15 children, and then taking care of your hubby, and then doing all your business, what you do,
Hmm.
and then still come on a TV show, here. That's you have to do the juggling a little bit, but you show us that hey, it could be done, and then you still
Right.
do the self care on top of
Yeah.
that. You still do the self
Yeah.
care.
You got to do the self care. So, that to me is taking that time first thing in the morning and, being willing to do that. I think, I was listening to Patrick Bet David. He's a podcaster and he was talking to his son. He said, I have this one son. He's so sensitive, everything he just cries about. And so one day I had reached my peak. And I said, look, son, some things you really need to cry about. But some things you may be sad or upset, but it doesn't really necessarily warrant a crying. And so he went into this whole thing of making a couple examples. And so he said after that, his son stopped crying. And so I have to look at that in my own life. Is this really something that I should stop doing what I'm doing, modify something, or is this something that I could just put to the side, do what I got to do, and come back to it later? And I think we have to be willing to ask ourselves those questions because if not, we're going to get stuck in
Yeah.
everything seeming urgent or everything being an emergency. And a lot of times, people's emergencies are not your emergency. The fact that they are in a 911 doesn't warrant that it's necessarily a 911 for you.
Yeah. And I think that's where, just to add to that, that's where your boundaries coming in, where you have to really create those
Hmm.
boundaries in your life because people could start bringing you somewhere, and then you're talking about going depression mode and crazy. It's like, wait a minute, now everything is 911. I'm running around here. Who waited? This is your thing, and so you got to work
Hmm.
that out. I'll try to help if
Hmm.
I can, but you got to look
Hmm.
at the bigger picture. Say, is this something that I should be taking in too? So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Other people's stuff can come into your, and you be like, wait a minute. So that's
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah. So now what I want to
Hmm.
do now, Michelle, is I know you have something to talk about regarding networking, which I really want
Hmm.
listeners to learn from you on that. So I'm gonna take myself down for
Mm-hmm.
like 10 minutes, let you do
Okay.
your thing, and then I'll be up so we can talk a little bit more and close out.
Awesome.
Okay, here I go.
All right. Well, I just want to again thank you, Barbara, for giving me the space to be able to share. And I think networking is a great topic to discuss because as a lot of us are reinventing ourselves or we are trying to find ways to do our businesses better with the things that are going on within our country, our economies, and industries. So, first, I want to say that networking really is being a connector. We often get this mixed up because if you go to a networking event, usually a lot of people are intimidated by that because, they may feel like, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like meeting people because they are really looking at it as marketing instead of networking. Marketing is when we are throwing our business cards all over people, telling them what we do, but a networking event is something where you're just meeting people, you're having conversations. It's not to get any sales, but it's just to find out, what clients or what people do I have in my network can I connect this person to? It's about building relationships. It's about being a collaborator. And many of us get this wrong because we think it's just, oh, all we see are dollar signs. And so we're being led with a scarcity mentality of thinking, I see all these dollars, I want all these sales, but everybody may not be a fit for you. And so we should flip the way we're looking at this and looking at it as relationship building, an opportunity to hear what other people do so that we can make referrals. We can connect with them in the future for collaborative opportunities. So there's a couple things to remember when it comes to networking. The first thing is to be memorable. So many places that you go, you've got a 30-second introduction or a 1-minute introduction. And the first thing we want to do is just validate who we are, give them social proof, do all this stuff. And I want to challenge you when you hear a fast food commercial, do they tell you everything that's on the menu? Usually they don't. It's like a breakfast ad or it's a lunch ad or something to drink or a dessert. So we really want to be mindful of the fact of telling people one thing so that they will remember us. So for me, mother of 15, I can say all these other things that I do, but I'm telling you, they don't remember. What stands out for them is the thing that stops every conversation is, how many kids did you say? Oh, I thought you said something else, or I thought they were adopted kids, or I thought maybe whatever. They get lost at 15. So I leave it at that. So a lot of times, you go through this laundry list of all these things that you do and nobody's going to remember it. So find something that's memorable and stands out and stick with that. The next thing is the follow up. This is where we miss out because we don't follow up. They may meet 100 people in a week. Maybe they go to at least 3 or 4 Zoom calls a week, or sometimes they do this a day. How many people are on those Zoom calls? So are you really figuring how many people that they are meeting? How are they going to remember you? How are you going to stand out? So yes, you might have told them something memorable, but a lot of people need a journey to connect the dots. So yes, they met you, but how important are you going to be in their daily life? Are you going to introduce them to people? Are you going to stay top of mind with them? That is really on your responsibility. So the follow-up is key. Following up with them in 24 hours. This could be a quick video. Hey, I really appreciated meeting you on the Zoom call. Would love to get together for our own personal conversation. Or I want to give you a business tip about networking or about some kind of industry that you do. So you want to be able to stand out, video tip, a voice message, something, an article, 24 hours later, a week later, sending them a card, right? This is something that the path of least resistance. We are on the internet, Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all these different places. But who is at the mailbox? There's only bills, maybe a few occasional other items that come to someone's mailbox. So that's the path of least resistance. And you're going to get more for your bang by just simply sending a thank you card. You could create a card that talks about, your top podcasts, if you're a podcaster, or, some tips on how they can budget, or recipes as they get ready for spring, or you could send them some seeds for happy spring. It's time to plant good seeds for a great harvest. I don't know. So come up with different unique things in the mail system. Just use some mail with a greeting card. And then the third thing is following up in 30 days, right? This could be an article. This could be some way that you are just telling them an update about what you're doing, something newsworthy. So these are the things that you want to do to kind of keep a constant and consistent flow of how you're going to be dealing with people that come into your network. Now, these tips I got from Dr. Ivan Meisner, who was the founder of BNI. And BNI is a referral organization that's all they do is get referrals. That's all they do is team building. And so we want to make sure, another thing, that we're getting advice from the right people. So it doesn't make sense for me to solicit the advice of a cardiologist if I am a restaurant owner. So what you want to think about doing is going to the fact that I need to know who I'm talking to. I need to know who my end user is. I need to know who I'm getting advice from. I need to know all these different things. We need to gauge this before we just start diving into, oh, I saw this article. Does that apply to you? Is that the market that you're trying to serve? So a lot of these behind the scenes questions are things that are outside of networking, but they help you know who you are and what you provide to the people that you're trying to provide services to. So networking is about knowing who you are clearly, doing something and saying something in a memorable way, and remembering that you're connecting people, that you are highlighting a skill or something that you do, and you're just reminding people about this as time goes on. So we want to be mindful of thinking about these things so that we can network, okay, with success.
Okay, I'll type it in the chat box right now.
You're muted.
See, it wouldn't be right if I wasn't muted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the norm, which I'm like, no, I can't be that to be the norm. But that's okay. But no, what I was saying before, I was like, phew, is that wonderful, wonderful tips about networking, Lachelle, because that's the key. And I'm glad that you showed the difference between the marketing versus networking, because I think we get kind of like, we think that's the same in a sense in some areas. And it really is a difference between the two. So thank you for bringing that out and making people aware of how to, after that, the different techniques of how to do that. Like you said, a lot of people, we don't go to the mailbox anymore, really. I mean, everything is either sent by email or by your text and all that kind of stuff. So we're used to that. But when you see something come in the mail from somebody saying, hi, I just want to see, to say hi, how your day, maybe give them a little gift. So that to me is like that extra. So first of all, thank you again for coming on. It's always an honor when you come on the show because you just give so much knowledge and so many tips. So
well,
I want to make
so
sure
much.
If there's anything, any last words that you want to say to the listeners before we sign off.
Yeah, I would say that, they need to be watching this show because you bring great value. That's one thing I want to say. But, that's a testament of always being ready. If you are a great networker, you get asked to do certain things because you show up, your reputation precedes you. And some of the things that you were saying about, our relationship and how you recall me showing up for certain things. And so this is still a part of networking. You have to show people how you are. There are so many people that are exposed to a lot on the internet. We have this overload of somebody does this and somebody does that. They say they do these things, but are they really walking out that person that they claim to be? And so I think that also is a testament for making sure that, we have some accountability, that when we're talking about the things that we do, how we can move forward with that in a way that helps us and other people. So I think that is really key, and being consistent. If you consistently reach out to people, they know where to find you when you stop talking to them. Maybe you're still having that consistent action with somebody new, but the people that you've done that to in the past, they know where to find you. And I think that's important.
Well, the one thing that I love what you always say, Supermom, which I'm taking on that too now, is when you tell people when they kind of say, well, I do this when you're interviewing them, you're doing a podcast with them, and you always ask them, how can I serve you? And I think that's so golden, because a lot of times people don't hear that from, it's always, well, I do this and do da 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 da. They give you the rundown of who they are, and it's good because you understand who they are, but you never hear that next thing like, well, how can I serve you? While everybody's asking for other stuff, you're basically saying, I want to come back and I want to see what I can do for you. And eventually when you do that, that gets that relationship builds even more stronger with that person. And then it seems like all of a sudden they're willing to say, you know what, if Lachelle calls me or whatever, I'll do whatever, because she served me. She thought about me. And I think that's what's needed today, is we need to think about others. And that's what you do when you say that. So
and people are surprised about that too, because you ask them that and they're just like, it throws them off guard. Yeah. So that is true.
Like, wait a minute, how could she serve what? I know what that, and then first of all, if people are getting thrown off guard like that so much, that means there's something broken too, because everybody's not, it's all about me. It's all about me. You're not even thinking about what can you do to help that other person, because we're supposed to be kind of helping each other grow. And we're so busy doing the norm that when somebody does sit there and say, well, you know what, how can I help you out with what you're doing? You're like, huh? What did she just say? I'm not used to that. So thank you for being a service to people. And thank you for being such an impact, as I was talking about this morning, in other people's lives. And you just won't be last you. We're gonna bring you'll be like a regular. You know that.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna be coming on.
I need to go through these notebooks, girl, so I can bring some value, okay?
You always do. You always do, Supermom. So we'll see you. And just let them know again how they can contact you.
Yes, you can reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all social media platforms. You can also watch some of my content, certain master classes, free on YouTube. So I'm there as America Supermom.
Okay, America Supermom. Well, again, thank you for gracing the show today, and appreciate you so much. And we will see you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Okie dokie. Wonderful, wonderful. See, I'm loving this. I am loving this. I'm telling you, the power of the women, Queen Diamonds. So before I bring on the next royalty is still in the house, I wish I had those those little crowns I could put on their head, but I'm just going to say it's not an imaginary crown, but I just want to know that they do have a crown on their head, and to let them know that they are truly queens. But before we do that, we got to give our sponsors some love here. So let's do that really quickly. And it's not working for me. Okay. It looks like it's not going to come on. So we're just going to keep on moving. So right now we're going to have, like I said, this wonderful queen today. Her name is Jean Turner. And, When you look at people's bios and you look at who they are, I always say just don't read the bio. Just don't read the bio. Really get to know a person. Check them out. Do the IMs. Say the hellos. Do the emails to them. And if you can get on the phone, because the phone is not a problem. Sometimes people think it is because they forget that they can dial some numbers and call somebody. But that's a good thing too, because then you really get to know a person. But when we had her on before because she was with a panel with some other authors of Make It Happen. That's a collaboration book that she's in, and I'm in with her in the book, and we had her. But we talked afterwards, and I asked her would she come back on and just show her trueness of herself. I wanted to really just say let's do an individual interview and let her show you her things that she does, and she's going to give you some tips on some things as well. This lady, I was like, wait a minute, back up. She's a retired Army Iraq war veteran. Now, when you see this woman, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, she looks like she's a magazine, a beauty queen, and she's rough, she's tough. See, that's why I tell people don't underestimate us as women. She's an author, she's an international speaker, she's a holistic health nurse coach. She's a CEO of her company. Come on now. Come on. Now you see why I say it's it's royalty in the house. So with all that, I was like, wow, she has to come on. I said, I'm honored now. I'm like, that the celebrities come on, you'd be like, ooh, I got a celebrity. That's who this lady is. So we're going to bring her on. I want to make sure, hopefully, I did her a little special video and hopefully it comes on. If not, I'm just going to bring her right on here. So I'm going to see if it works. I was like, come on, technology. Come on. I'm fighting the battle.
Look, you went back a little bit there.
See, hopefully that was a good thing. I mean, it worked out well for you. I wanted to make sure I gave you a good introduction and people know that you are awesome and an impactor.
Oh, you are too kind. Thank you so much, Barbara.
You probably was looking at that like, wait a minute, wow, I didn't remember I had all that. So lady, beauty lady, I'm telling you, you do look like you're coming out of a magazine, a model magazine. You are so beautiful. And thank you for coming on the show again. I really appreciate it. When we did the first time, I just felt the connection. I said, you know what, I want to reach out. And then, we talked a little bit and then you coming back on. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. So I always like to bring in, especially for women, the diamonds, the queen diamonds. So Miss Jean, like I said, you have so many hats and what you have done. So I want people, please give them, first of all, I always ask women, we talk about everything that you do. You're the author, international speaker, all that kind of stuff. But it just, we just didn't pop out, like I tell people, and start this. So what made you just say, you know what? I want to, join the Army. I want to, do this. I want to be a holistic nurse. Tell us where it all started.
Oh, wow. Look, Barbara, you know what? Where I am now, I would not have even imagined. And that's when you know that God is truly ordering your steps. And so this is a true story. When I was growing up in New York, right, because I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York, I'm a product of the 60s and 70s. So I wanted to be a legal secretary on Wall Street and work for a huge law firm, right? And so that was my original goal. And so I came out of high school and I actually did work for a law firm, Kenyon and Kenyon, right there on Wall Street as a clerk typist. And so left New York, married young, left New York. My ex-husband was military. I said, I didn't start in the military right out of high school. My ex-husband was military, and at one of his duty stations, I couldn't get a job. And so, clerk typist. And so I add in the paper for a certified nursing assistant course. And it was a 12-week course. I signed up. I took the course. I loved patient care so much that I went on and got my nursing degree. And I've been a nurse since 1987. I'm dating myself. Yes.
Don't feel bad. We're both dating. I just dated this past Monday, so I totally understand.
But we here, right? So that's
Yes,
why I
we.
don't trip about my age. I'm here, I'm alive, and by the
I'm
grace of
so
God, I
glad.
don't even trip.
And I'm so glad. That's what I tell people. I said, I tell people, when you meet people like you and myself, and we have all this wisdom and knowledge that we can give you, yes, you better respect.
Come on. Come on, girl. Respect. I love
Respect
it.
us.
I love it.
Don't take us for granted. We know something. Like I tell my goddaughter, she's like 37 now. I said, we know some things, like they say.
That's
We
right.
know some things.
That's right. We know some things because we experienced some things. But like my mother used to always tell me, may she rest in peace. Back in the day, they used to say experience is the best teacher. But I told my children, and I still tell them as grown as they are, but you got to be a fool if you want to experience everything.
I love it. You're right. I said, you know what? If you don't really have to, don't do it.
Right. Glean from the wisdom of those
Yeah.
who've come before you. Let's glean
Yes.
from that wisdom. You ain't got experience because some things, baby, you don't want to
You don't
experience.
want to experience. No. I tell the young people now when I talk to them in groups and stuff, I said, you don't have to. If I'm telling you something, I'm trying to help you, so you don't
Right.
have to deal with that. I wouldn't want you to have to go through the certain things I went through. So why? Just hear
Wow.
what I have to say and say, okay, I'm going to avoid that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you basically, like you said, you became the nurse and everything and really got high in that. So then now you were in the army. How long were you in the army?
I spent 25 years total serving in the United States Army. I started as an enlisted E4. They gave me credit for being a nurse. Actually, I started out as an LPN, and so they gave me credit for that. So I didn't start out as a private. I went straight to Spec 4 and made my sergeant rank very quick, like within the first year I went in. And then from there, because at the time I had my associate's degree. So at the time I was working on my bachelor's. And then once I got my bachelor's degree, I switched to the dark side. We call it in the Army the dark side, when you go from enlisted NCO to the officer side. And after my bachelor's, I went and got my commission. Second lieutenant, second Louis. And then 25 years later, retired as lieutenant colonel. So God is good.
Yes, and I want to just say thank you for your service for us, for our the U.S. because I always tell people especially when they enlist because they want to protect not just themselves and their family, but you're protecting the United States for us. So that's an honor on top of an honor. To just to say your life for 25 years, to say that I'm enlisting to do this and I believe in this. So thank you so much, Jean, for that. Thank you so
You
much.
are welcome.
Yeah.
Honored to serve. Honored to serve.
So now with that, see, this is not it. This is just a partial for life we're talking about. So then after that, in the retirement, now you are a CEO. A CEO. So tell us a little bit about that.
And so, look, I went from what me and my girlfriend of like about 20, 25 years says, from soldier to solopreneur.
I love it.
That's what we say. She's like, girl, you just got out. You retired from the Army last year, and you just went from soldier to solopreneur overnight. But it really wasn't overnight. Not overnight.
There was a
So,
journey. Yeah.
no, it was a journey. So back in January of 2018 is when I started my business, but it was under another name. It was actually under the name of what now is my signature wellness program for those of us who are 50 years young and beyond, right? And so I was January to July of 2018, I was still active duty, working full time, running the whole hospital education and training department at the hospital I worked in, Army Hospital I was stationed at, and trying to start my business. And then lo and behold, I was told, on a check, I had a chest X-ray done, so I wasn't feeling something was wrong. I was feeling something was wrong, and I went and had a chest X-ray done, and they was like, you got a spot on your lung, and actually, really, that was August of 2017. So they monitored the spot all this time. January 2018, I started my business, and in July of 2018 is when the tumor started to grow. They was grow to a size to where they can biopsy it, because initially it was too small, just like a little dot. They couldn't biopsy it. And it's a wonder, they say, which we know is God. It's a wonder that a radiologist even saw it, because that's how teeny it was. So anyway, fast forward to July 2018, they biopsied it and said it was malignant. And so going through that and then starting chemotherapy treatments in August of 2018, still have my business, but now I'm more focused on what's going on with my body and having to start chemotherapy and all these things going on with me that I wasn't even in the right mindset for business at that time. And so I was still in the Army. And I was, at first I tried to work, but then it got to where I couldn't. And they transfer you to what they call the Warrior Transition Battalion, so that you can be free to just go to your doctor's appointments and be at home chilling, resting, getting the care that you need. And so fast forward to January 2019, I heard God tell me, it's just a myriad of things started happening. God was speaking to me more, probably because I was seeking him more, and I heard terminate the business. And I was just like, what? Wow. Because I started building this brand. But I listened to the Holy Spirit, terminated that business, but was still trying to keep the brand going, because I was starting to get known, to get traction on social media. I had, how it go, right? Yep. And so God allowed me to keep the brand, and at least gave me the energy to make it happen, so that even in the midst of chemo treatments, I was able to continue building the brand, even though I terminated that business, right? And then that's when the podcasting started, March of 2019, right? I started as a 10-minute segment on someone else's radio and internet podcast show. And that blossomed the January fast. So much has transpired. Wow. But now, in June of 2020, the producer liked what I was doing on that 10-minute segment on someone else's show, offered me my own podcast show, which is Health Chat with Coach Jean, now worldwide podcast, available on every major podcasting streaming platform. And then from there, look, God was like, he told me while I was going through those health challenges, I heard Spirit of a Warrior, right? And I was like, Spirit of a Warrior. And little did I know that was to become the name of my company, Spirit of a Warrior Life Enterprises, LLC, in the Atlanta area. And then God had me journaling my whole experience throughout them chemotherapy treatments. And little did I know my journaling was going to become a book. Warrior, Jean's self-care journey through chemotherapy. So that whole brand of God just shifted. I was saying it was a rebirthing, but someone said to me one time, it ain't a rebirthing, it's a shift. And yes, it's true. God just totally shifted the business, terminated one, rebuilt another one, but with a whole different perspective.
Wow. See, and the whole thing you were talking about, if you wasn't really listening to that voice, like you said, the Holy Spirit, God, then it could have been a whole different direction. But you was listening. And I always tell people that is so important in your life, because look where just boom, boom, boom. And then this happened and this happened. I was like, oh my God. It's just like the surprises of life just kept coming towards you. And you just kept okay, I got it. And now the book and, Jean, yes.
girl, but wait a minute. That
You
ain't
know,
all. Just
there's
when I
still.
thought, look, May 27th, I got to ring the bell, right? Which signifies your last chemotherapy treatment, May 27th, 2019. And just when I thought, right, okay, good, thank you, God, I can go back to life as normal. Thought, right? No. 5 weeks after I rung the bell, fast forward to August, the morning of August 8th, 2019, I went into cardiac arrest in the emergency room near my house.
Oh, whoa.
So yeah, it was as a result of the chemo treatments that caused congestive heart failure. I went into cardiac arrest, was in the ICU for almost 2 weeks, not knowing nothing, what was going on until I woke up. And still didn't know everything that happened, but being a nurse for over 3 decades, I knew something bad had
Yeah,
happened.
Ben.
Okay, and so
Yes, yes. Oh
yeah.
my God.
So yeah, it was back to back to back to back help. And this is from somebody who's never been sick other than a common cold and sinusitis and being in the hospital for childbirth and maybe some
Mm,
female issue here or there. I've
yeah,
never been sick a day
yeah.
in my life. I tore my rotator cuff and had surgery. Okay, big deal. Who in the army
Mm.
ain't at one point done tore something? But anyway, never been sick a day in my life to where sick is where you can't go to work, right? And then suddenly 2018,
Oh, that.
back-to-back health
Mm,
challenges. So my
yeah.
life was interrupted. I often refer to that time as Girl Interrupted, which I think was a movie or a book at
It was.
one time.
It was a
Yeah,
movie. Yeah.
yeah. And
Wow.
so, yeah, but God brought me through all that, and now I know why, because He had
Yes.
a purpose and a plan, and it totally shifted
Mm.
my coaching, my nurse coaching business. It totally shifted my ministry, everything, everything.
Yes. I'm glad with that ending part, like you said, Gene, and I always say that to everybody. He had a plan. It was a reason why we do what we go through, what we go through. At the
Mhm.
time, you're kind of like, okay, whoa, just like you said, wait a minute, I just got done with this, now this, now this, and this. But then when it all comes to pay, all comes up, you're like, oh, now I understand why this happened or what's going on. Yes.
Right. And I didn't really, really, to be honest, Barbara, I really didn't get the understanding to probably the last few months because all that time I thought God was punishing me. I remember laying in my bedroom and being in the house and being isolated from everybody and everything. And God, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? I mean, literally in tears, what did I do to deserve that diagnosis? What
Yeah.
did I do? Because I never thought that would be me. I mean, I was a runner chick, a marathoner. I thought I was doing all the right things. And
Mhm.
then just got the revelation. It was not punishment, it was process, which is one of my signature talks now.
Wow.
Punishment
Woo.
is process.
I just you telling the title, I'm just like all like, ooh, I kind of hear that. Okay, now before we go on, because I know I want to make sure this is just getting this so good. Just understanding. That's why I tell people knowing people's stories is so important to understand who they are, what makes them who they are. So, Gene, what I'm gonna do, for this 10 minutes, I want to make sure that you give, what you want to give to the listeners, any topic that you want to talk about, and then I'll come back on and then we'll do a closing remarks. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So, hello, everybody. Yes, I am Jean Turner, holistic health nurse coach, and I just want to share just a little bit about you that I hope will shift your perspective. Shift seems to be the key word for today. And so, the first thing that I want to share with you is, and this is coming from a nursing, holistic health nurse coach perspective, shift your perspective, shift your mindset. So many times I go on social media and even with the clients that I speak with, the whole focus is on our physical health. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be physically healthy, right? And we have to be physically healthy because we can do nothing if we are sick and weak. So physical health is very, very important. However, I I want to challenge you to shift your perspective and shift your mindset, because we are so much more than just physical beings. We are so much more than what others see in this outer body. We are so much more than our outer appearance. True health begins from the inside out. And there are many dimensions. There are several dimensions to health. Yes, there's physical health, but there's also our psychological or mental, or as we say in the Army, behavioral health. There's our emotional health. There's our spiritual health, which is the most important of all, okay? There is our financial health and well being. I just did a radio show last week on our financial well-being, because there is such thing as financial dis-ease, I call it, okay? Our professional well-being, our medical well-being, our environmental well-being, our social well-being, because we're social people, right? And I know since the pandemic, we've been in it at least a year, some countries even a little longer, right? So we've been isolated. Our social health and well-being is important as well. And so, there are many dimensions to what makes us beings. We're not just physical beings. And so I want you to first begin to shift your perspective, shift your mindset, and begin to look at you as a whole person. When I say holistic, and what I mean by a holistic health nurse coach, yes, I'm a registered nurse. Yes, but however, you have got to look at the whole person. When I was growing up in nursing back in the 80s, because I've been a nurse since 87, we taught to look at our patients and clients from a whole person perspective. Because anything that creates an imbalance in dimensions of health and well-being, guess what? It creates disharmony throughout your entire body. Don't believe me? Think of a time when you were stressed out, all right? I want you to think of a time stressed out. What was you feeling? Was you nauseated? Was you vomited? Did you lose your appetite? Did you eat more? Was you unable to sleep? So think about a time when you were stressed out, to get an understanding about what I mean when I say an imbalance in any one of these dimensions that I just mentioned creates disharmony throughout your entire being. So shift your perspective, shift your mindset, and start seeing yourself, the whole you, body, mind, soul, and spirit, and in every dimension that I just talked about, because all of it affects overall health and well-being. The second thing I want to leave with you is, I believe the heart, our emotions, our spirit, the heart, I believe that that is the core. And anything that affects our heart, our emotions affect our heart, right? Because really and truly, if the truth is told, our heart affects everything we say, think, we do. It affects how we act, right? And so that's what I mean by our heart being the core of our emotions. The heart affects everything that we say, do, or think. It affects our words, our actions, our deeds. And so, because of that, there is a connection. There is a physical connection. There is that connection between our heart, what we hold in our heart, our emotions, all of that. There is a connection between our heart posture, our emotions, and our physical health. What we allow to infiltrate our heart, what we allow to take up residence in our heart, guess what? It affects us physically. Don't believe me? I challenge you to look up the term broken heart syndrome. When people who have lost their partner, their husband, their wife that they've been with for years and years and years, and that person passes away, and the person that is left, that partner that is still living, they can't find joy in anything no more. They grieving long term. Now, grief is a normal process, but they're grieving long term. Their heart is literally broken in pieces over the passing of their soul mate, to the point to where they start developing physical manifestations, or a year or two or so later, maybe not even that long, heard of them passing away as well from a broken heart syndrome. Yes, because their heart has been broken. And so the person doesn't have to necessarily die and pass away. If you have ever experienced your heart being broken by somebody, a breakup that was devastating, you too, I guarantee you, have manifested, had some physical manifestations in your body, the insomnia or sleeping too much, the depression. Something has manifested in your physical health. And so, yes, when we allow these things, whether it be that, the broken heart syndrome, when we allow a long-term years and years of grief, when we allow the anxiety, the stress, the worry, the fear, the doubt, the envy, the unforgiveness. Look, I once saw a meme on Facebook, I believe it was, that said, you can eat all the kale, you could drink all the alkaline water, you could eat everything, all the good for you foods. But if you don't get your heart and your mind right, you are still unhealthy. And it's because of anxiety and stress and depression and the things that we allow to infiltrate and take up residence in our heart. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you got some unforgiveness, if you got some long-term grief, depression, anxiety, chronic stress, all of that, look, go seek some help. So in a lot of cultures, it's a stigma that when we seek professional help for a behavioral issue or mental health issue, that's a problem. Oh, don't tell that. Don't let them know that. You ain't supposed to tell nobody this and that. That's why a lot of people years down the line, 10 and 15, 20 years, still suffering from emotional trauma and still carrying the physical manifestations. No, release that stuff. Release that stuff. And if you got to go talk to somebody, a professional, go seek professional help. It ain't no shame in that. Let's stop that stigma that you can't go seek professional help from a behavioral health specialist, psychologist, or whatever the case is. Go speak to your clergy, your pastor, whatever you need to do. But yes, the things that we allow to infiltrate our hearts and take up residence there, it affects our physical well-being. And so, let's not talk about walk around saying we're healthy and on the inside we ain't really been healed in our emotions and in our minds and in our spirit and in our soul. Okay? Because all of that does affect our physical health, as traumatic experiences and events. If we don't seek help from somebody, it affects our physical health. And so, what I want to leave with you is, you don't know how resilient you are until resilience is a requirement. Dig deep and on that and draw on that innate inborn strength that I believe God has placed on the inside of each and every one of us. And when you feel tired, because sometimes, let's be real, right? The weak get weary, the strong get weak, and the weak get weary sometimes, right? And that's when you got to draw on God even more. Feel like you can't go on. When you feel you're almost on E, you are on full. Now your tank's on from that innate inborn strength, the resilience that God has placed in you, and He is there to fill you up even more. And so, please, please, please remember, we are more than just our physical being. We have a mind, a soul, a spirit. Our emotions affect us. Our environment affects us, right? Our finances, right? COVID has taught us one thing. We need to have multiple streams of income. A job can be here today and gone tomorrow. Get your financial well-being in order, right? When the finances are messed up, it causes stress, right? If you go with stress, it's a domino effect. And so your professional well-being, Seek to improve yourself, to learn and gain more knowledge every day. All right. Social well-being, social health is key, right? Even in this age of COVID, we're hearing about social determinants to health. Our socializing is important. It's a part of our well-being. Make sure that you are reaching out. Get on Zoom, StreamYard, the internet, some kind of way, and interact with your family, loved ones, because our social well-being just as important. I'm still talking about health and well-being. I'm still talking about health, holistic health. Shift that mindset, shift your perspective, and start seeing the whole you, right? In all your humanness, okay? Because we are more than just physical beings. And that's what I want to leave with you today. Barbara, I'm about talked out, girlfriend. Because I can really talk on this all day.
Woo.
That's what God has led for me to
Wow.
share on today with our listening audience.
You needed more than 10 minutes, lady.
Wasn't even 10 minutes because I tend to talk fast.
You needed more. I was like, wow, this is just so much good information that I was like, oh my God, I hate to even come back. Yes, you whew. Oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you back, lady. We're gonna have to talk. We got to talk.
All
This
right.
is so good information. Good, and people need to know that. And you're doing such a, just embodying the fact that what everything we talked about earlier, your journey, and then now what you're doing to show people about how important, that their body and everything. Yes, we definitely need to get the word out. So thank you so much for
Well,
coming
you
on
are
the
so
show
welcome.
and
You
just
are welcome.
that super, super, super diamond, that diamond queen. Now, before we, close, is there any just last tip that you want to give the audience?
Yeah, and I think I alluded to it earlier. So, whatever it is that you are going through, we know COVID has brought us challenges. We all have been challenged by COVID. Many have been infected with the virus. Many of us have not, but we have been affected by COVID in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But what I want to say to you is whatever the challenge, whatever it is you're going through, it is not punishment, it is process, and you are being propelled into your God ordained destiny and purpose. That's what I want to leave with you. So do not be despaired, be encouraged.
I'm loving that. I want to tell listeners to take that on for the rest of the week because that is some very good, solid wisdom and advice to give us because that's what we need. And we need to hear that. So thank you, Jean, so much for coming on again. And you have a I ask God the blessings keep continuing to fall on
Yes.
you, your life, and your family because you are truly an impactor to this world. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. God bless you too. Bountiful blessings to you and yours. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Appreciate you.
I'm hanging on your every word. The love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound. 'Cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground. My feet won't touch the ground.
See, so I told you. You can't say I didn't tell you that I was bringing on the queens. Miss Jean Turner, OMG. Oh my God. That's what I tell people. You have to. I'm just have to ask you all out there. Make sure you understand people's stories. Look at what she dealt with, what she went through. I mean, she served our country. And then, like she said, with all the health stuff, and she was a nurse and all this kind of stuff, then to come find out that she had to deal with her own different illnesses, which didn't stop her. See, that's the point of the whole thing. She persevered through everything that was hitting her in life. Everything that was hitting her, she persevered. And see, that all comes back down to what I always say. You know what I always say? That when you understand what's here, your PPD, as I call it, your purpose, passion, and drive, that pushes you. See, that's why I said that drive and PPD means all of everything that you went through, all the different obstacles or challenges, good, bad, or ugly, good, bad, or ugly, will take you back to understanding why you have a purpose in this earth. Never think you were a mistake. Never, never, never. If I hear people say that, I get on my soapbox really quick, because I tell people you're here for a reason. You have gifts. You have a genius in you. So remember that. Okay, I know the show is almost over here, so I feel like I'm about to start a new one. But it's just, when I hear the wonderful ladies that come on and talk about, all the things that they dealt with, and then they're sitting there just shining like diamonds, like I call them, and then somebody might say, well, I don't know about me. No, you are awesome, amazing, wonderful in yourself. Bring that out. Make sure you love yourself. That's the biggest thing before anything. Make sure you love yourself, because you are loved, period. And then after you do that, then you sit down with that piece of paper and that pen, as I've been saying a lot lately. You go in that little special spot in the corner of wherever you got to go. If it's in your house, if it's in your car, some people, there's different places where people want to go. And then from that point on, write down everything that you're about, everything that you love, all the gifts that you do have, the thing that you like to do, something that you're really passionate about. Just giving you a leeway here. And then you will find out that, OMG, I am the bomb.com. I know that's an old saying, but you know what I'm talking about. And then you know your PPD. And then after that, you run, and you do what you can, because you are important. And after you do what you can and make it happen in your life, then you understand why you got to keep moving and driving, because of those challenges that happen. They just don't happen just to be happening. I always tell people, things don't happen in our life just because. It's not a just because. Now, when you were growing up, it's funny because me and Mr. Barry last night was talking about how, the only person that could say just because is your mother. So, when you were younger, you would say, well, why is the sky blue? Why is this like that? Because it is. Well, why is it this? Because it is. So mothers had a rank on because it is. And then because you knew that you couldn't ask no questions after when they said because it is. So, but besides that, no, because you are important and amazing. So we got to add to that. So with that, we will be back on Wednesday. Wow, Monday's going fast so soon in the morning already. We'll be back on Wednesday with Mr. Barry Mixon. He's going to be talking about his gems. And then after that, we will have Miss Laura Armstrong. She's still doing her thing, talking about understanding people's personalities and how to talk to them, how to understand the other person. If you don't agree with them, how do you handle yourself? How do you, present yourself in front of people when you're going maybe for an interview, or you're on a job or working with a team? Understanding people's personality. That all goes back to understanding who they are, in a sense, when you think about it. So she's going to give us all these tips and intelligent tricks, as I say, on Wednesday. So be yourself, be your best, and remember that you have a diamond factor in you, and that is your PPD, your purpose, your passion, and your drive. Thank you so much, and we will see you on Wednesday.